by the excellence of O'Sullivan.
This week we're looking at the greatest shots from China's first ever Wuhan Open, and as usual we're going to be deciding which of these shots is best by attempting to recreate all of them as accurately as possible and then play them in the fewest possible attempts. And we're beginning with Judd, who not only managed to win the English Open the previous week, he then got on a plane, flew to China and won tournaments back to back. This is a great long pot where Judd punches the red in down the cushion, but it is an even harder shot for me being right-handed, because this means I have to put my bridge hand on the side cushion. This means digging down on the cue ball, and it resulted in me not having any real control over where the red went, so on my third attempt when it went in the pocket it was more than a little bit lucky.
Ronnie's screwing in the long pink now to get great position on the black. This was all part of a dominant performance that took him right to the quarterfinals.
This is an incredibly tough pot, especially when you have to screw back down the table like this, so I couldn't believe it when it went in on my first attempt, but unfortunately I ended up the wrong side of the black. Now this was probably because I didn't quite get the angle right, so I put the pink a little bit wider by only a couple of millimeters, but guaranteeing when I eventually do pot the pink that I'm going to be on the right side of the black. However, this wasn't anywhere near as easy as my first shot had made it look, and the fact that I had to play it with maximum backspin because I was using a regular cue ball meant that I was playing this at more or less full power, so I was really happy to get this even if it did take this many shots.
An excellent long red from Neil Robertson, but it simply wasn't enough to overcome Liam Highfield in this round.
This was definitely one of those shots where I was trying to keep my cue action smooth and prevent it from jumping up in the air too much. However, I wasn't having the greatest amount of success with that. This one did need to be cued really well. However, with this amount of power, it's unsurprising it came up in the air a little bit, but 3 attempts is pretty good.
Ronnie creates an excellent positional shot out of nothing here, where it simply didn't look possible to get on the next red.
Not only was I struggling to pot this shot to start off with, but I discovered that I was striking the cue ball way too low. It doesn't need very much backspin, hardly any, just left hand side to make the cue ball spin round the angles. But what makes this shot even more difficult is you have to get the cue ball in perfectly behind the red, and you really have to play this shot well to be able to do that. And even after I understood how to play this shot, I wasn't hitting the red. I had to not only pot the green but be very accurate with this one, and it's something that I was definitely struggling with. Eventually, however, I did finally manage to line it up right, so I potted the green and hit the red. However, I didn't hit the red cushion first, so I didn't really push it on. And once I got the feel for the shot, I could repeat it. However, I still didn't manage to hit the red properly. I had to get right in behind this thing, without forgetting to pot the green. This may not look it, but this is definitely one of the hardest shots I've had to try in some time. And I was glad to actually get the cannon right, even if I didn't knock it onto the right pocket.
Judd again now, with an excellent double on the black to finish off the frame. The crowd seemed to love the way he just crashed it into the pocket.
But in theory, this shot should be relatively straightforward, so am I going to have the accuracy to pot it on my first attempt? Yes, but I put a bit too much topspin on it, so the white didn't go in the right place.
Another double from Judd now, this time winning him a frame. So the question is, was this better than the previous one?
Well, the shot itself is definitely a lot harder. There's a greater amount of distance involved, and it's not guaranteed that I'll get the red anywhere near the corner pocket, so I was pretty pleased it went in straight away. But which was the cheekiest double, this or the previous one? Cue the music.
The double on the black from Judd was good and earns him 3 chilies, but the cross double was even better, especially considering it allowed him to steal a frame, so it earns him 4 chilies and he's this week's winner. Ali Carter with a really well played plant now. You can see with this shot and the next one how he was able to get through to the final.
Because both of them require a lot of accuracy, but this first one also needs to be set up accurately as well. So the plant goes in and I can screw back the right side of the blue, and I didn't get the balls anywhere near in the right position. On my second attempt I got them in the perfect place, so it was a lot easier.
A few shots later and Ali manages to get this perfectly played cannon off the blue, which isn't anywhere near as straightforward as it looks.
The cannon itself, where I'm hitting the two reds and black, doesn't look too difficult anyway. At least it didn't until I played my first attempt where I missed them completely. But the big problem with this one is just because you get the cannon, it doesn't guarantee you'll finish on a red. I kept pushing these safe, and it didn't matter how I hit the first red. Nothing I did meant they went on in towards a pocket or ended up in a position where they didn't cover each other. It just shows with some of these that not only do you have to play the shot right, you're also relying on quite a bit of luck to end up in position. So I was just glad I had a pot in the end, even if I didn't end up perfectly in position.
Jack securing the frame here with a really tough cut on the yellow off the cushion. This was a great shot, and he even went on to pot the green after this.
While I was attempting this shot, I noticed my camera ran out of battery, so obviously I replaced the battery, but for some reason I lost all the attempts I played before this happened, and I got it on my very next attempt. So I don't know how many it took me, but before this one there was at least 5 more, and if it had been about there, that's not too bad.
Ronnie's pulling off another excellent long red here, and even though he didn't make it past the quarter-finals, he seemed to be in excellent form.
This is a good looking shot where you need to screw the cue ball back top side of the blue, and on my first attempt I was pretty confident with it, but unfortunately I didn't quite pot the ball, and it needed a couple more goes. I was screwing back far enough for the blue relatively easily, so I was a little bit disappointed I didn't get this one a bit quicker, because 4 attempts was a little bit too much for this one.
Another shot from Judd now as he finds a way to knock this red in down the cushion and make it all the way across the table for the black.
How about that for a pot?
When I first recreated this shot, it wasn't for this video, and that's why when I realised I've missed this first attempt, I chase after it quite a bit because I wasn't thinking I was going to use the footage. Either way, I had a couple of goes at this and missed it thick and then missed it thin before getting it on my third attempt, which is pretty good even if the balls do hug the cushions a little bit on my table.
This cannon from Scott Donaldson allows him to get in position on the red and take a 2-0 lead against Jack Lisowski.
Not only do I have to play this shot with a lot of backspin, but I also have to be very accurate with it because the pink's a long way away and it needs a very precise cannon. And when you play a shot at this angle, for a small amount of time the backspin delays, and you have to judge this delay perfectly if you want to make contact with the pink, and that's what I wasn't quite getting right, and it was a little bit frustrating.
Oh, come on.
And of course when I finally do get the cannon, I don't push the red on and end up snookering myself on it, so I had to try again, and I was pretty pleased I got it straight away afterwards.
This long blue from Mark Davis allows him to finally get a frame on the board against Ronnie.
Shot. I mean, he's got a hold of the cue ball too much, in fact.
Right before I play any of these shots, I always have a quick check to see exactly what each player did, but with this one I think I got it a little bit wrong. My first attempt was probably closer, where I screwed the cue ball back a little bit too far and caught the middle jaw, because for some reason I thought Mark played it like this and held for the red top side of the blue spot.
Not only do we have Jiahui escaping from a snooker, but he's also getting the cue ball back safe at the same time, which as it turns out requires a huge amount of accuracy.
Yet again, this was another shot that I was pretty confident with that didn't quite pan out the way I wanted it to. Even though I was able to catch the red easy enough, I kept hitting it too thick. And I thought it was going to be a little bit easier to judge the required quarter ball contact to get the white back into bulk, but it took me several goes before I got anywhere near it, and when I did, the white didn't really come back far enough.
Liam Highfield now with this excellent red down the cushion to get him out of trouble, and he manages to play it in such a way that if he was to miss the shot it would probably end up safe.
I got incredibly close to this one on my first attempt, which is a little bit surprising because this week I've had to have my cue repaired and I was aware this was going to happen, so I managed to find and play most of these shots while I still had it, but unfortunately I discovered a few more a few days later when I no longer had my cue, so I had to find another one to play with. And the funny thing was, I played about 3 shots with it, got a miscue and realised that the tip had split in half on the cue I was playing with, so I had to play with yet another one again, meaning I went through 3 cues in the making of this video, and that didn't make these shots any easier. And I've got a couple more shots to go with it yet.
Ali Carter's got a really awkward shot into the middle pocket, and even if he gets it, he's not going to end up on a colour. So he decides to try and screw it into the green pocket and get back in position on the black.
Yet another shot I'm having to play with my second choice cue, which you would imagine would make things harder. However, when the balls in the cloth leave the factory, they have a sheen on them which wears off over time. And now we're this deep into a video, then striking the ball with a different piece of wood helps for some reason, at least according to Sean Murphy. Either way, I finally got this one, but I can't screw back with this cue really.
We've got a Yize shot coming up next after we find Johnny, who's in Long Lai, India, which is there.
This was virtually a match-winning shot over Stephen Maguire as he manages to pot the long green and get the white perfectly back in position on the brown. And you guessed it, it's yet another shot I'm not playing with my actual cue. And this one was particularly hard because you just couldn't hit it as straight with this cue. So these shots for some reason were even harder than the previous ones I tried. However, I was pretty happy it went in on just 3 attempts, even though the position wasn't that great. I did manage to pot the brown however though, so this was okay.
It's vital that Ronnie hits this snooker escape because if he misses it, he's likely to leave a free ball and could possibly lose the frame.
Very solid contact made with the red though.
This was another one of those shots I'd have been disappointed to get wrong because it's just a simple 2-cushion escape, and I was also fairly happy to hit it full in pretty much the same way.
So for the results, 3rd place goes to Judd with this red down the cushion. It didn't really matter in the context of the frame, but it was just an excellently cued shot. 2nd place goes to Ali Carter with this tough shot. He played it as a shot to nothing, but it gave him a great chance. But 1st place goes to Ronnie O'Sullivan with his green. The pot itself was challenging enough in the first place, but to get the cannon absolutely perfectly was really difficult on this one.
I'll do the news next time when I'm not having so many cue issues, but if you want to see more of these videos then have a look at these 2. And remember, don't just watch play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later!